You ever make soup? Cut up the meat, vegetables, add broth, cook it for a couple hours. You ever try to unmake soup?
Yeah, unmaking soup seems hard. You think you can do that, Ryan?
Definitely not. I can barely cook at all.
Guys, we're breaking down the season finale of Legion, episode 8.
As well as that mid-credits sequence.
Be sure to subscribe, guys. We got a whole bunch more Legion stuff coming. Maybe not a whole bunch, but just a few more things. We still have that that Aubrey Plaza thing that I promised you last episode.
Yeah, we're definitely doing that.
Definitely.
All right, buddy, Chapter 8 opened up with a cool little backstory for the Interrogator. We hadn't really seen much of him before this, but this was awesome.
I loved it that, like, there's never going to be a peripheral character in the show. They don't throw out crappy characters just to die. I thought that they did it. I thought that this guy was just a one-off.
Yeah.
And then it ends up that he has this amazing story that is unlike anything that you see on television normally. And you see his struggle. It's amazing. His name is Clark.
Yep. It really humanized him. And for a minute there, you're like, wow, I kind of see how this guy feels. Like, who's the villain here?
Right.
Like, David really messed him up in his life. So
Right.
It was really awesome. And it's also that little title sequence that they used in the ICU monitor. Really cool callback to that.
Yeah.
As well as you made a reference to the wolves.
Yeah, well, there's wolves everywhere. There's one on the roof of Clockworks. Obviously, the Eye was carving them. There's something going on with wolves that is yet to be explained. But he has a cane with a wolf on it. So maybe that's something we'll figure out next season, or maybe they're just messing with us. Who knows? Who knows?
And how cool was that homage to Batman?
Mirror. Maybe wait until the swelling goes down.
Give me the goddamn mirror.
Buddy, I just had one problem with the timeline of events here. From David's perspective, it feels like this has only been a few days, weeks. But from the Interrogator's side, it takes an awful long time to recover from burns all over your body.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did actually see time freeze.
Right.
David's only worn like 5 shirts in the whole season.
Meanwhile, his burns are fine.
So maybe during that time when they're in the recreation of Clockworks in David's head,
Right.
or in the astral plane, maybe when that time was frozen, the rest of the world was moving. So they were in there for like 6 months or a year or however long it takes to get a melty face.
And that would explain how he can recover
right.
and be up and ready to go back to work.
Or maybe it's just another thing in the show that doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
So David decorated a tree with Division 3. I thought it was beautiful.
Yes, it was awesome.
It was gorgeous. He displayed a lot of powers in this episode, a ton of powers, but that one specifically was really interesting because he didn't hurt anybody. He, in this episode, kind of was like, I'm kind of, I don't really know if you're bad dudes. Meanwhile, everybody else was like, nah, we hate Division 3.
Yeah, I feel like Melanie, Patanomy, like those two very much were showing the other side of the dynamic between Division 3 and these mutants. They have a history there. They like are all gung-ho about going to war.
Right.
Whereas David is just kind of like, guys, let's chill. Let's see their side of the perspective. Let's talk. Let's be diplomatic.
He was at Clockworks when all this stuff, like, they were hunting them.
Right,
So-
right. He doesn't have the same history as they did.
Right. He's only been dealing with them for 5 days.
Right.
According to his laundry.
There's 50 of you. We're a tactical arm of the United States military working in conjunction with government agencies all over the world.
And dinosaurs once ruled the earth. And remind me what happened to them.
So they're an entire government division, like arm of the government, and there's just a bunch of dudes on one iPad in a room. Something is real weird. Something's real weird.
Get them some more TV monitors to watch this.
Can we put a little bit of... Somebody get me a mini HDMI for this iPad.
Yeah, they're all huddled around one iPad.
That was real weird.
The camera was pretty cool inside his eye, inside the Interrogator's eye.
was
It was a
amazing.
pretty cool glimpse into how they're kind of gain some intel on Summerland.
They obviously have some cool technology. I just don't understand why everybody was looking on one screen. Just hold the laptop in the middle of the room. We'll all gather around you. They mentioned a couple of things like a peacemaker at one point that we never really saw.
Guessing probably a nuke or something.
Guessing a nuke.
Some big weapon.
That brings some peace.
And I may not be on
his frequency right now, but you can hear me just fine, can't you?
Stop.
All right, that brings us to a part that we kind of saw coming. The Shadow King goes after Sid, and we thought this might be a possibility because Sid and David, you know, they kissed. And kissing leads to bad things, guys.
As you well know, kissing leads to bad things.
Buddy, I couldn't get over the fact that this entire time, it reminded me straight up of Beetlejuice.
Me too, man.
Like, I was like, this is a different Shadow King than we've seen this entire series. And, you know, super gross still, but it was straight up Beetlejuice.
What do you think of this? You like it?
Very beat up. Very beat up. Also, leaving its, like, corruption on the surface of everything. Even on Sid. Like, she comes out of the memory and touches her lips, and she's got some grossness on her.
The simulation? No, this is real.
What is the point?
Pretty sure.
So while we see David in control a lot of this episode, we also see him questioning a lot. His mental illness, the parasite, the Shadow King inside of him. He's not really sure what's real, what's not, what his life would be like without the diagnoses too.
Yeah, and it's funny because the first question kind of paired everything that we were thinking.
Right.
And then the second question where he's watching the Shadow King disappear from his brain from different, you know, from his memories. And he goes like, what am I without you? He turned off the Shadow King's eyes. Like, nope. And then eyeballs shut off. And then he gives power, he gets close to the Shadow King again, and then starts choking himself.
What happens to me when you're gone?
I think it was fascinating when they talked about like a phantom limb, right? Like, he's only known life with this parasite inside of him,
right?
With these voices going on inside of him. So when you get rid of that, or just the idea of losing that, it's a scary thing, you know?
Yeah.
And then him having how will he recover from that? It's really, it's crazy. They did a really good job of kind of interlacing the mental illness part with this parasite and life after it for him.
David? Hold on!
One thing that I did notice in all of the sequences is his shirt is lacking the yellow triangle that we said now that the yellow is representing the devil with the yellow eyes. In his dream sequence, when he separates himself from the devil with the yellow eyes and no longer has power over him in his head, it's just a black triangle.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Which was
detail.
Yeah.
Also, I like the touch of them playing some Pink Floyd during that whole sequence.
Don't be afraid to care.
There's a couple of weird things during the sequence on monitors. There's some Latin on a monitor. We'll show you that. It doesn't translate out to anything that I could detect, but
we looked.
We definitely looked. So Sid sacrifices herself for David. I don't care if you save me. I don't care if you save the world. I just want you to save yourself. And then she smooches him, and then everything explodes into an amazing fight. Give us a play-by-play on that one,
Yeah,
Ryan.
that was awesome. So they kiss. Sid is completely possessed by the Shadow King, then goes up to Carrie, walks in like, I'm gonna mess this chick up.
Yeah.
But then she gets tapped, and then she becomes the Shadow King. Then the other Carrie walks in.
Ruptured spleen or something?
Ruptured spleen. Yeah. Patanomy rolls in, guns blazing.
Gun blazing. He's shooting a Tommy gun in a room full of his friends.
You're gonna hurt somebody.
You need to chill out. That hat's too tight, man.
Then Carrie comes out the door, sees Melanie, bang, down with one shot. And
Of
this sets
what? One shot of what? That was
invisible bullets.
awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. The interrogator, Clark, he just gets thrown up against the wall. He really can't really fight back at all.
Yeah, dude, he's got a cane.
Yeah.
You jerk.
And this sets up what we've been waiting for, the Shadow King inside of Carrie, David on the other end of the hallway. Behind David, that fan with the blue light coming out of it, it looked a little bit X-Men vibes back there. And it reminded you of
Altered Beast. It was awesome. It was awesome. It was
a cool use of effects. It wasn't cheesy. I thought it looked really good.
yeah, fire versus lightning. So after the boss fight, the Shadow King leaves Carrie, shoots down the hallway.
How convenient.
How convenient. Oliver opens the door.
Oliver.
Gets knocked back into that weird generator room where he was just climbing ladders and things. It was very much like a warp core from like the old Star Trek. It was pretty cool. And then comes back out and he is Shadow King.
You know what really sucked about this part? He had just remembered about Melanie.
That was so cute. I was like, oh, someone's gonna die.
And now he's possessed by the Shadow King.
Where should we look first?
Someplace warm.
All right, so the Shadow King joins Oliver on his joyride. They are headed somewhere warm, and it becomes pretty clear that D3 and Summerland, they kind of have to work together now. There is a bigger threat out there. The Shadow King is on the loose with Oliver, with Melanie's boo.
Melanie's boo. You're wearing a 70s suit and you're out in the world. You're not prepared, man.
South. They're headed south. What is that? Is that one of Carrie's?
I think it likes you.
Oh, what the fuck?
No!
Okay, so we got the mid-credit sequence. David's wearing an entirely new shirt. It looks like it's like a tetrahedron or something on his I can't tell what it actually is, and I have no theories about it, but I guarantee you it means something.
If you guys have any idea, let us know what you think. It's the first time we've seen that shirt.
First time we've seen the shirt. He's wearing a new shirt.
And then we get the flying orb out of nowhere, and it just totally just kidnaps David. Any thoughts of who you think might have sent that and who now it has David?
You know, there's been a lot of mention about Mojo. I think that it could potentially be what the Division 3 mentioned, the Equinox device. Any ideas on your end?
I don't think it is. It's meant to be a little bit scary, but I don't think it is. I think it's probably. I hope it's Professor X trying to find his son. You know, I don't think they're going to show the entire X-Men next season. I don't think they're going to try to get too deep into the comics. They've said that they want to kind of keep it separate, but it'd be cool to have Professor X cameo next year and kind of teach David more of his backstory.
I am a little skeptical that it's Division 3 because if they had that technology to just pull people into Pokeballs, they would probably have done it earlier.
Yeah, like the first episode, just
Right.
bring him in there. So.
Guys, we love you. And we love Legion. We hope you guys can tell that we love Legion. We have some more content ideas about Legion for wrap up, but make sure you guys subscribe to get that. We put a lot of love into this, so hit that button. It's super easy.
Also, hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you thought of the season finale and any other theories that we might have missed. And let us know what new show that we should cover because we need a new one.
We need a new one after this. Something's got to keep us up at 11 o'clock at night.